All right, the judges are back, and they're ready to make some eliminations. Welcome to the next great Starship. Hi, I'm Sandy Gardner, and welcome back, guys.
Woo!
Hey. Good to be back.
Here we are, back in the saddle again.
Yep.
Sean Tracy, where have you been?
Well, I was deathly ill. I've never been more sick in my life. I lost like 10 pounds in a week, so you see, I've recovered nicely. Just not too bad, right?
Nice.
But yeah, I was really sick, but it looked like David Hobbins did a great job. Yeah, super happy to be back.
I'm Chris Smith. I'm the lead ship modeler for based in Austin. Happy to be back.
Chris Olivier.
My name's Chris Livia, Chief Visual Officer, Cloud Imperium Games.
Mark Skelton, class clown apparently, and art director for Austin.
You look beautiful today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice
And Rainbow Flag, yeah.
Dude, isn't this
the
awesome?
t-shirts that we got, see?
You know what? If cats pooping rainbows is wrong, then I don't want to be right. I'm just going to say that out loud. I think this is an amazing shirt.
That's our art director right
Thank
there.
you, fans.
Yeah.
And Chris Roberts.
Yep, Chris Roberts, Project Director, Star Citizen, and happy to be back. I think it's going to be fun and very tough because there's a lot of really great stuff. I mean, obviously I was giving some mid-judging feedback, and I was super impressed by all the progress everyone had made, and some people had sort of surprised me by sort of really taking it a lot further than I thought it was going to be. So to be honest with you right now, I'm actually not looking forward to this episode or the next episode because I think we're going to have to make some hard choices, and I think pretty much everyone left in it right now is really good.
All right, guys, so we're down to 10 teams in the competition. Team True and Team Troika, due to time constraints and not being able to meet the deadlines, have withdrawn. So Troika had a couple of issues with their third team member, who we hope is all right. And True had some time constraints, couldn't meet the deadline.
All right, well, that's kind of unfortunate, but it's what it is.
It's the nature of the industry. It's tough.
So guys, this is the completed modeling and texturing phase, part of the competition. Chris Smith, you're the man. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I mean, the modeling involves, obviously, building out the ship, in a clean fashion, ready for a game asset, and also the texturing, the coloring of the ship, and to get the look down and the feel, for the ship. So so far, I've been pretty impressed actually. What they've put together was pretty good so far.
You sound very serious about it.
Yeah.
It is serious.
It is serious.
So serious.
Chris takes his modeling and texturing very, very seriously.
Yes, he does.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
It ain't no joke.
Baby.
You're just always serious.
Should see some of the feedback he gives to some of our in-house people.
Oh yeah.
Very
Like,
serious.
what kind of model is this?
Yeah. What is this? It's like I can't work with this.
Can you tell the quality of the models just from looking at them, or do you need to actually open them up in the scene and get it?
Well, I mean, it is hard to kind of like just without seeing the actual mesh or geometry, like in a wireframe sort of view. It's hard to tell like how the quality of the model itself. But I mean, so far it looks very clean. You don't get any weird shadows or edges or like geometry mistakes. So far it looks pretty good.
I guess we'll really find that out when they hit the export button, and then the arrows go, and then they're like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I gotta fix this."
that will be the telltale
but when
sign
it's
for
in
sure.
the engine, like
Exactly.
the smoothing groups is a big issue,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
That's
that's-
those set up correctly.
You forget we have a CryEngine god here. So.
Yeah, look at there. You can't read.
I know. I'm representing today as well as the CryEngine team.
Very nice.
All right, guys. So 5 teams we're going to watch today, but only 2 can make it through to the next round. So you guys are going to have tough choices in the
that's gonna
voting.
be super tough. Well,
Not pleasant.
So are we ready to check out the first team?
Yes.
sounds good.
Let's do it.
Team Talon Corp.
Hello Star Citizens. I'm just going to be giving you a brief update as to some of the changes that have happened with the ship since the last update. I've actually taken the liberty to print off the Mark 1.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
This should help with showing some of the changes where it's happened and stuff like that, so that you can get a better idea of what's actually happened. And some of the main things that have happened are with the Class 5 guns. So the top and the bottom gun have been changed now, so that there's much more firepower delivered from these weapons. So there's actually it's a dual mount on both of them, so there's actually 4 cannons in each. The front cannon as well, so these are 2 cannons now, but that's retractable. Obviously that's not in this model because this is the older variant that you've seen in the other videos, but that's now retractable. You'll see that in some of the shots and possibly in animation in a minute. Also the engine mounts are different now, so these are the old style engine mounts. The new ones are much more in line with the overall look, the curved sort of look of the body, and they actually have an additional function whereby when this ship is coming into the atmosphere, you know, to avoid debris going into the engines and ruining them, basically they compress and another flap opens up and basically makes the line continuous across that, so all the heat and all the debris and stuff like that of coming in through the upper atmosphere is deflected. The cockpit, I mean, you can see here a couple of people have highlighted the fact that like the cockpit doesn't necessarily have good visibility. I'll show you some images of how it looks in game as well. You can actually, it's quite a big field view actually. The seat is directly underneath this top heat shield, so basically you're looking like out and across and down and up as well. You have got quite a lot of visibility in the front area there. I don't know if you can see the actual seat in the inside there, but that's where it is anyway. The drop pods, you'll see there's been quite a lot of changes, so obviously not on this one, but this has got the old military spacefaring drop pod. The reason why it isn't necessarily in keeping with the aesthetics of this ship is because it is modular, so it would be able to fit onto a number of different ships, including this one. There's also the bat unit has made a return, and a number of other smaller craft that would be able to fit into this just to make the package a lot more worthwhile. So yeah, the rocket pods have also changed since this iteration, so these ones were placeholders, but there's a new variation now. And yeah, so generally I've just been working on texturing and in-game implementation, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll be able to see that I've got it in-game. And other than that, I've just been working on different variations on texturing, which I put up on the forum the other day to see if people were particularly interested in, you know, a Spec Ops or, you know, pirate sort of overlay. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and Talon Corp signing out. I'll see you in the verse.
Right. Mark Skelton, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, it looks cool.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say that the materials he probably needs to spend a little more time on as far as breakup and stuff. I see where he's going with he's got the slick car paint, which is, it's cool, but I think he could do more with the back. I mean, obviously your eye goes straight to that material in the front and you've got that big shape, you know. I think his modeling, it felt too dense. I mean, I think he could clean it up a little bit. I mean, just from what I see, it's, you know, like we were talking about before, it's hard to tell unless you bust open the model and actually, you know, look at it yourself. But just looking at it, I think he could optimize it a little bit and make it a little cleaner. Other than that, I mean, you know, it's a cool ship. It's probably not my favorite of the competition, but it's pretty cool.
You could definitely see the wireframe in there, and now I'm going to say that front end is way too dense.
Yeah, it's dense. That's what I was...
He has a lot of unnecessary edges in there. I mean, it looked like he put like a NURMS mesh smooth modifier on it, you know, and it's like,
yeah,
you know, in the engine, it's like, you know, while like, the CryEngine handles polys very well, it's just like a lot of unnecessary,
it's not
you know, because you use the smoothing groups, right? It makes it more round when you look at it, and as long as you have the silhouette that's round, it's fine. You don't need like all those extra edges that are in there.
Because it causes problems and overhead and efficiency.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary. It doesn't need it, right? So like to make that front shape, he can like use half of the amount of polys to get the same language, basically.
Sure, and I love going like the super high poly count when you need to. But if you're going
Well,
to
if
have
you
that
get up
many
close.
edges in there, then yeah, start moving around and change the
Well,
shape of it a little bit. If you're going to have those edges there, but if it's a straight part.
Well,
that
it's
has
like, yeah,
multiple edges,
you
then
want to
just
be
kill 'em.
smart with your polys.
Yeah, and we're spending a lot of time talking about it, but yeah, I mean, it's actually only a couple seconds to fix that. Like, there's a couple modifiers in Max that'll clean that up right away.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're judging them really harshly just
Well-
for the over
Well,
dead.
Well, I mean,
But it's a pretty fast
here's the
fix.
thing: is I'll say like, okay, great that you're saying all that, but for me, it's like, what ship do I like? What ship captures my emotion, right? So I will say that of all the ships, the one that like has come from somewhere that I was like, not to be my favorite one in terms of I look at the profile, I look how it looks head on. It's absolutely this ship. It definitely, that's a ship I would want to fly, I would want to have. It feels like sort of, kind of like what a gunship potentially could feel like to me. We gave a bunch of feedback during the conceptual stage, and I think he's sort of taken that and gone way beyond what I thought it could be, and turned it into one of my favorite ships. So I love the detail in the animation. I love the form and the function. I love the way it looks when you're looking straight on. I love the profile of it. Love the 3/4 view of it. I like the fact that it's sort of a highly detailed model where the interior and the exterior and how they all fit together is being thought out. So I'm less concerned about the densities of the poly on the front of the ship, because that's something that could probably be adjusted anyway, and there's tessellation already in the engine, and you can do some stuff like that. I do agree with Mark that the texturing needs a pass, because it doesn't really feel like it's had much of a material pass other than just like, okay, this is sort of a shiny sort of car paint feel to it, and so I'd like to, so if I was going to criticizing it, I would like to say, well, I'd like to see some more fidelity on the textures. I know that our contestants hasn't really had an opportunity to play with PBR yet. I think, is PBR out now for the
no, it's not out for
public?
free to everyone yet.
When's that going to happen?
Well,
On the spot, sure.
I can't say. Actually, we're going to roll out Engine as a service sometime in May, so that's when it's going to be rolling out.
Okay. So yeah, whether or not maybe we'll need to like do something so they can have access to like the Star Citizen
They're
build.
gonna need to.
But
They will
obviously
need to, yeah.
taking the PBR system on the ships is going to make a big difference, which I think will probably factor into the sort of bring it into the engine part. Because I think that will make a big difference. So then you can have the feeling of the leather material on the seats, and whatever other sort of material or texture choices you want inside and on the outside. So I do think that part could do with some work. But generally, I really like the ship. It just looks like a cool, badass space gunship to me.
Chief Visual Officer, do you agree?
I agree wholeheartedly with what Chris said.
All right.
No, it's my only. I mean, the fact
Still
that
employed.
the fact that he physically built it out in an actual, he built a model was amazing, and
That's some dedication.
yeah.
Hey, Sean, for the uninformed, could you please explain what PBR is?
Sure. So PBR or PBS,
Has blue ribbon.
right, or the channel. So we call it PBR or PBS. Some people use the term interchangeably. Technically, it's PBS, but it's easier to say PBR. So physical-based shading or physically-based rendering. What it is it actually centers all the rendering and all the shading within the engine. It's all based in real life. So there's two really important laws of physics that we have to follow. And the first one is law of energy conservation, conservation of energy. It's Newton's first law of thermodynamics. And then the second one is the Fresnel equations. So the law of thermodynamics says that you actually can't create energy, right? You can't create or destroy it, actually. And then when you start talking about Fresnel equations, the Fresnel equations actually say what happens when...
Oh my God!
Oh, am I going too deep?
I'm
so sorry.
What I think, the simple answer is,
I'm so sorry. I mean,
Legs, things
this
look
is what
purdy.
it is.
What is PBR? It is physically based rendering,
Right.
or PBS, which is the same thing.
Physically-based shading.
Physically based shading, and it basically makes the different physical objects look more lifelike, right?
Very nice.
Exactly.
Very good.
Yeah.
But anyway, may I continue?
God,
if you like.
rudely interrupted.
No, it's just right. I mean, I agree with Chris. It has a very powerful, strong feeling. I love the front of it, and it sort of balances really nicely with the details in the back. The only thing is the latest paint job he did. It felt sort of like too cut in half with the back end was sort of the fine detail, and then the front just big yellow piece.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was beautiful.
When we were in the first episode, I think I was really hard on this guy, this team. Sorry.
And then you got sick.
It's
See
just
what
one
and
guy.
then I got sick, but no, it's a drastic improvement over what
Karma.
I saw.
It's the
So
karma.
I'm really happy. The ship's got a ton of character.
And I do like the
It's a
straight
great
on view,
ship.
like you said. It looks really cool straight on this ship.
Yeah,
And he's got an
looks
engine
powerful.
too.
Yeah, I like
So
It,
he got
looks.
through.
It looks. If you saw that like
Yeah.
coming straight on, you'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
which I think you want if.
And I like
you're in a
the
gunship. You want
super
people to go.
Yeah, right.
I like the character of the front window. I mean, people always harp on about like visibility, but it's just like some spaceships are going to have incredible, like you're not going to be able to see everything perfectly, but that's why you have like a 3D HUD and you have a radar and everything.
And I was just gonna say, you can probably just move that seat a little bit ahead, a little bit further, like as if he's actually sitting. It's more like a chopper, I guess, or something like that. Like he's sitting closer to the glass, and you get tons of visibility.
Yeah,
so it's not gonna be
it
that
certainly
bad.
seemed like a lot of glass on that front. I mean, it certainly
Sure,
seemed like
yeah.
it would have floor-to-ceiling visibility. Really, it was just whether you can see straight up,
Right.
or how much side visibility you would have.
Right.
Well, it seems like we really liked this ship, and the technical stuff is not actually as big of a deal, right?
Or it could
But
be.
some text,
We gotta say something, right?
of course, yeah. But maybe a little bit of work on the materials and the
Topology.
And the front
and the
end.
topology.
Apology.
Right.
Read top of
Word of the day.
All right. So Team Cryo's next. Let's roll the video.
Greetings, citizens. Fuzzy Modem here. It's springtime in Alaska, and I get to show you how I beat cabin fever this year, so I'm not going to waste another second.
The RSI Polaris gunship is a modular weapons platform that can be outfitted with a variety of catamaran hulls by aftermarket manufacturers. The most popular is a piracy interdiction and civilian escort Paladin variant by Sakura Sun, featuring a munitions pod and armor plating. The armor is a direct response to the ramming tactic of Vandal Sith fighters, as their blades pass through energy shields, inflicting heavy damage to unarmored hull. The Sakura Sun X99 ram part is designed to deflect and even damage the Vandal if they attempt to ram. Built in cooperation with RSI from the scraps of Bengal carrier engine heat shield fabrication, the armor is also an effective defense against all thermal attacks. A redundant energy shield generator provides yet another layer of protection to the port side. The Sakura Sun D10 munitions pod features a powerful sensor suite and houses missiles, countermeasures, and proximity mines safely away from the primary hull. This combination of elements makes for a unique combat tactic known as the sword and shield maneuver. When attacking, the gunship pilot will charge and empty their missile rack, depleting an opponent's energy shields. The pilot will then toggle from fly-by-wire to Newtonian and drift, thrusting occasionally to keep the shield between themselves and the enemy, while bringing all three turrets to bear. The pilot seat extends forward, providing wide visibility, but when both energy shields are down, armor plates extend to protect the cockpit. Hover cycle-style gunnery seats provide optimum broadside line of sight. Turrets are designed to accommodate all Class 1 Size 3 weapons and also serve as airlocks and lifeboats. The cockpit is sealed as well, meaning that, if necessary, the cargo ramp can be opened in vacuum, allowing for easy retrieval of EVA personnel. Passengers are typically restricted to the cargo hold, which seats 6. The upper deck leads to both dorsal and ventral turrets. When the ramp is closed, it offers a second route from the upper deck down to the cargo hold. Unlike the RSI civilian vessels Aurora and Constellation, the Polaris is a military ship, and the interior design reflects this, with functionality and reliability prioritized over comfort. Thrusters are positioned for exceptional roll speed in order to best bring a broadside to bear, and during VTOL, all 4 rear thrusters support the forward ventral thrusters. With aftermarket manufacturers introducing catamaran upgrades to suit every application, the potential of the Polaris gunship seems unlimited, provided you have the credits.
Sean Tracy, what did you think of that?
I love the asymmetry of the ship, this catamaran extensions. That's really cool to make it modular like that. And I really do like that Paladin variant. I'm a bit of a fantasy game guy, and I like the fact that it looks like a sword and shield, something like this. My only question would be, like, when you are doing the broadside, putting the shield in front of you and the enemy, how does the pilot actually see? Because you had all these things coming in, but he said there was maximum visibility from the turrets. But how would the pilot actually see out the shield side?
HUD?
Yeah,
Well, no, I think,
guess
I
so
think if, you
too.
take a look at the cockpit, the pilot seat turns this way, and he's there. and you've got the shield here, and you've got the turrets there.
Then it's
so,
perfect.
So
That's
basically,
awesome.
they fire, it turns like that,
Yeah.
and then you can be using your strafe maneuvers while the turrets are firing. You've got the shield on the stuff.
Yeah,
Weren't you
I
paying
think that's
attention?
great. Sorry. Well, I saw when the shields came up in front of the cockpit, that actually obstructed his view, but
It was a great presentation.
tiny thing,
It's
great
smart.
presentation.
Yeah.
The thrusters look awesome. I love the extensions, the catamaran extensions that he calls them. It's great stuff. The interior looks fantastic. Yeah, I want to see it in engine. That's all.
Chris Smith?
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by the amount of work he did and all the and all the previous animations and everything. Really pretty good work. Overall, like I think maybe style-wise, like and the texturing on the outside, needs some work. I don't know how far he's gotten, if it's work in progress still, but it looks a little like concrete on the outside texture because it was real bumpy and gray. Looks-wise, it's not like the best-looking ship, perhaps, but like it has so much functionality and like the interior is so cool, like it makes up for that. I'm actually pretty impressed by what he did.
All right. Chris O.
I'm impressed with the overall shape. It's an interesting ship. I think it's an ugly ship, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think some of the pieces on the different sort of like variants he had, I think it seems too cluttery. It doesn't have sort of an elegant feel. Or from a sort of a design standpoint, it seemed like just a lot of like tacked on things and a lot of busyness. And what is it that you call it? The
High
different
frequency.
reads. Oh, high frequency, yeah. Where you have the different reads that go up and then the frequency changes.
It all seemed very constant, just pieces,
Right.
chunk pieces.
Yeah, you want to have like dense and then rest and then like dense.
Well, like
a
he
lot of
had
the
like
time.
the shapes, like so even the extensions, like you have this big main shape, and then the outside appendages were almost the same size.
Yeah.
I mean, even that shield, it looked huge compared to the ship, almost like it was competing.
I mean, I like
Following
the
this, Sean,
silhouette.
you're looking lost.
No, I'm following you.
wanna watch
But
it
it was
again,
super
or?
asymmetrical. I don't know how you saw the same thing on either side.
No, I'm
every
talking about
single
volume
variant.
of shapes,
Oh, sure. Okay.
not the model itself.
Okay.
Just the weight of it.
And I also think, like, we talk a lot about the visual appeal of all the ships, and that's obviously a big part of it. But this is actually the first ship that he's talked a lot about the gameplay, like how you actually pilot this thing. And that's one of the biggest things with it. Like, you might want to buy a ship that's going to look really nice, but the other thing, you're going to want to buy a ship that's really fun to play with. And that seems like something that's going to be a lot of fun for me, anyways.
The thought in the interior was really great. The interior was impressive and moving around. I think it had a very nice style inside, and it seemed like from a realistic universe. But like I said, the outside, just there's parts of it that's sort of like called out sort of amateurish a little bit. But I think it's got a sort of a nice, meaty, ugly silhouette from the front. But I think it could use a little bit more work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. He just needs to take it to that next level. He's thought through a lot of stuff. The interior is amazing. I mean, the guy thought through it. Although that corridor from like the cockpit back, there's a big blank space there. He could probably do something with that more. I mean, if he thought about it. But it's great. I mean, the way he thought it through, and I like the modular design of it. That's really cool.
He's come a long way from his first
Yeah,
design.
but
It's a lot different.
But looking at it, especially if you're looking at it compared to the other ships that we're seeing in the competition, there is, definitely frequency and reads. So there's different reads. So he's got like level of detail that I think is too chunky and big to relay the size of the ship correctly. So he's got these big clunky shapes, and his paneling work and stuff like that is just not where it should be. I think he could take it a little further, and it would look a lot better. It's definitely not one of my favorite ships. I think the overall design is kinda-
The other one wasn't
Yeah,
your
like anything
favorite
today.
either.
Yeah, those two
You've been
are.
drinking you out late night?
Yeah, he's in a bad mood today. He's a big
angry.
Cat shirt.
It's the cat,
It's the
man.
cat shirt. Yeah, he's got lasers
Grumpy cat.
coming out his eyes.
No, you know what? I thought that was a really great surprise for me because I've obviously seen the ships that they've been developed during the concept stage and even during the modeling stage, and I felt like Cryo was one of the weapons I liked the best, but I felt like his ship was the one that was the furthest off, and then over, there's been some good ideas and changing it around, but this is sort of the place where I sort of all sort of come together, where you can like visualize how that ship would work, how you would add these different parts to it, and you know, like Sean said, I mean, the functionality in terms of like all the different things that are important for the gameplay, how you would deploy it, how would you use it, was really great. The inside space was really impressive. I mean, you got a sense of, okay, I can see this, I move around. It was like great. So I really like that. A couple of notes that I would make is that, you know, one, I sort of felt sort of the up close stuff could be higher poly, right? So like we're inside the cockpit, some of the details inside, or even if you got up close. I mean, we're up-resing the Hornet, we're up-resing 300i, right? So beyond what we've got already in the hangar, so people will see that in the dogfight module. But yeah, I kind of want to, like, you're going to sit there and it's going to be in first person. So the amount of the poly count around the places you will sort of interact in first person has to be super
The rest
high.
of the interior looked really nice, and then you go in the cockpit and it just was
Yeah,
a
the
little
cockpit
underwhelming.
just felt like and the seats that came out could have had a bit more. But I mean, generally it was all there, right? It was just, I'm just saying,
The functionality was
the functionality
great.
was great. The layout was great. I just would, I'd love to like get up close to it and sort of have like more
And
of
he's
the
doing it all by
detail.
himself
Yeah,
too.
next
No, he
level.
is. I mean, and the
that's
same for
impressive.
Paul.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Same for Paul Talon. Same deal. Those guys are like doing like they're all doing it themselves, which is super impressive. But I love the sense of the ship, its functionality, the way that you could change out bits on it. I was just like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, so you know, big props there, because that was to fuzzy modem. That was really nice.
come a long way.
Yeah, a nice positive surprise.
A lot of props for a fun ship. Maybe some frequency and texturing on the outside,
Yep.
so it doesn't look so concrete. And then maybe some higher polys in the cockpit and a couple of the other places. But a lot of love for this one.
Yeah.
All right. So the next
do.
video is Infinite Shoe Monkey. Let's roll it.
Hello fellow citizens! We would like to show you our result of the mounting stage.
Here you can see the rear cargo ramp that we implemented into the model. It features different modes for loading and unloading cargo more easily, as well as giving protection to the Marines when deployed, or allowing some quick access in this mode. Also, it includes a ramp to access the rear seat for the Class 5 turret more easily. Here you can see the cargo area with more detail, as well as the new boarding turret. And in the crew habitat we of course added more detail as well. The meeting table got an additional feature now, because it's got the medical surgery robot. And in the background you can see the escape pods / sleeping pods. Here you can see the rear cockpit seats for the gunners when they are not in action, and the front pilot seat with the detailed console. This is the front access area of the ship, including the missile revolvers to the left and the right, and the front docking collar area. Also, here is the access point for the front Class 5 turret with an additional airlock. Here you can see the overall layout of the ship with all its detail, and an additional area that you should find out in the game. We've made sure that all the detail actually fits into our hull, just like for the internals that you already saw in some previous renderings. The rear turret deployment has been added as well. The front turret has been reworked, and the front docking collar has now got some hatches to cover it. The rear docking collars as well, the upper one as well as the lower one. The missile revolvers got its hatches as well. And here is the front access to the ship for the crew, and the revised landing gear. Finally, you can see the atmospheric stabilizers in action, and a first-person access to the Class 5 turret. This is the front Class 5 turret, by the way. Finally, we added some renderings for you with the current materials, which we will work on further in the next stage with the CryEngine implementation.
Thanks for your support and see you in the universe!
you see
Cool.
his cat shirt.
Cat shirts, unite.
Chris Smith, you want
laser
to kick
beams.
this one off?
I like the ship so far. I did leave some feedback for them recently about the overall shape. I mean, while the detail is great and everything, the functionality looks great, the overall shape of the ship still seems like very simple or something, like it needs some breakup towards the end. And I mentioned that on our feedback page that we have online.
And what did they say? Did they respond?
They did respond, but they were saying I think there might be not enough time to do adjustments and that. I mean, I think they were going to add maybe something to the rear because, like, while you go in, like all the detail is awesome. Like when you go in real close, but from very far away, the macro shape is just very simplistic.
A lot of big flat shapes.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, because a lot of times, I mean, you know, the truth is when dogfighting or in any case, and when you're in the game, a lot of the times you're going to see the ship in the very far view, right? So you see the overall macro shape of the ship, the big part. So, you know, it has to be an interesting silhouette. So right now it just seems very simplistic overall, but their texturing work so far was great. The modeling looked great. All their details were pretty awesome, and their previous animations were very impressive.
You agree?
Yeah, no, the
Yeah,
animations.
he disagrees.
Yeah.
I think like when he's doing animation call-outs like that, and it was like really the functionality looked really nice and workable. He should just do it in the sort of the wireframe, wire shaded mode, because some of the stuff was like all flat lit, and when it takes away from like what he's trying to show in some of the presentation pieces. So, but pretty much I agree with Chris. It's just overall it's just too many large, flat, blocky shapes that just wasn't that interesting.
What say you, Sean?
I would agree with definitely on the shapes. In the distance, it would look fairly simplistic, but on the targeting computers that show you nice silhouettes and things, it'll help a little bit. I think some of the feedback he gave him was really spot on. I think those atmospheric stabilizers will help a little bit, you know, breaking up that shape, because those are pretty nice looking.
Yeah.
The animations are phenomenal. I mean, there's lots of complexity to them, tons of secondary motion across all of them, so it's really believable. I love the entrances to the turrets. That's really well done, and they've thought about it from the first-person perspective. That's a really important piece of this. Like, it's not just about the cockpit; it's about getting into the turrets. It's you know, everybody likes that sort of animation where you get into the turret, you really feel like something awesome is happening or is about to happen. So, yeah, on the material front, it still looks fairly fresh. So.
Yeah, they're saying they're still working on it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's pretty. It needs a little more work on the material side, but I don't think they've focused on that yet, so you know, no problem.
I would say though that the entrance might be problematic. I wonder once you get in, because it's kind of like the Freelancer right now, where it has that entrance right by the front landing gear. So it might be kind of like a
bunk,
like tuck in. You
Yeah.
know,
I think it's got way more clearance than
it
the
might have
Freelancer
more.
is
It was
inside.
hard to tell there the size. So.
Yeah, and maybe a bit on the presentation side. There was a lot of, a little bit of Z fighting on all the alpha blended things, so you could see the little flickers and things. So there's, tiny things they could clean up, but
Didn't
it's
understand that, but that's okay.
Z fighting.
Z fighting,
fighting on
Alpha
all the
flickering.
things?
yeah, you'd see this flicker on
What's the
transparent
Z?
objects.
It was taken away.
It's a
from
Z coordinate, the depth coordinate.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's like Z.
Giving him a hard time. Give the
Z.
Canadian,
Oh,
give the Canadian
right.
a hard time.
Right, the Americans. Well, it's Z, anyways.
What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with what they're saying. It kind of feels like it's made out of Legos. You know, has that Lego feel where everything is kind of
Blocky.
square, blocky. But man, the animations and the thought process on like the way the turrets work and the interior of the ship was super impressive to me. I mean, I love the animation. I mean, they had so many like little moving cool parts. I mean, all that stuff was like spot on, and the way that they, thought out the entire interior from front to end, I thought that all that stuff was impressive. I just think, the outside of the ship, they could like push and pull a few things, I think, and round some things off and probably make it feel a little nicer on the outside, and
Break up the shape.
Yeah.
and the
It may
materials feel like, like they're in progress. So.
And it may not take much to push it that silhouette to make it.
Yeah,
more
I don't
interesting.
think it would, man. This is a really nice ship. This is actually one of my favorite
Whoa. I really like it. I mean, I think you guys are all sort of beating it up a bit for what the design of the ship was. And
You're
the
being way
concept.
too positive today.
No, I'm just saying for what it was in the
What have you
concept.
done with Chris Roberts?
Yeah.
Well, no, because I think pretty much everyone left in is really good.
Yeah, man.
But that was kind of the concept, right? That was the debate about the concept was it was too simplistic or not. You know, for me, it kind of sort of it has that vibe of those sort of like Monday high-tech destroyers that they're deploying right now, where it's pretty simplistic. And
That's true.
So I thought it was going with that vibe, which is different than the sort of helicopter gunship vibe that we have with quite a few other ships. So that's kind of what it is. I don't know, like it's,
I mean, we're nitpicking at this point. Like
well,
you said,
I
everybody's
guess
so
what I'm
good.
saying is it's sort of,
subjective.
for me, I think if that's the route you're going, you embrace that route, and that's what it is. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. So I think it's kind of tough for them to say, well, I don't really like those sort of larger, simplistic, ultimate sort of silhouette shape, because that's sort of what the design was. I mean, obviously, I don't think I think everyone here loves the attention to detail, how all the bits work, what the animation is, all the stuff inside is. It's probably the best of all the ones that we've seen in terms of like how every little thing is thought out, and we've got quite a few people that have that have done all that stuff as well. But this is to a whole nother level.
And they took a lot of cues from our ships that we have now.
No, and that's good. Well, they asked those questions, and we were like, yeah, it needs to use the standard weapons and the stuff. So they did a really good job of that. I mean. The texturing material side for me, it doesn't feel like it's moved along like it's still, that would, even back in their early concept stages, I would say that, the weakness of the Infinite Shoe Monkey team is that the sort of the material texturing side of it anyway, that I haven't seen that really, like their detail and animation and modeling side is super impressive. But I've yet to be blown away by sort of the texturing of the materials. Right. Again, like if we get everyone doing in-engine and doing PBR, I think that's really going to help, because when you've got detail like they've got in theirs with all the different, because they've modeled like everything on that. I mean, I don't think there's impressive. They're not baking stuff into normal maps like when the the bits where the missiles come out and all the rest of the stuff. There's all this sort of cool little. If you get closer, there's a lot of greebly detail.
Yeah.
So I think that'll come across really well with sort of PBR material. So if that happens, I think. You may look at that shape and it may not be.
I mean, yeah, the
quite
shape
as boring as you
it's
think.
Not
it
a
is.
make it or break it deal for me either. I mean, it's just like you said. It's like if you wanted to.
I just think it's a different.
Things.
I think it's a different aesthetic. I mean, like it's actually a really good testimony to like what the cool stuff's going to happen in the community down the road in terms of like everything here is awesome, but I'm sure we're going to have. Lots of other stuff that's going to come out as the game continues along, and people can build their stuff and do some modding. Because I look at that again. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to be hanging out inside that ship. I mean, all these ships is what when I'm watching it, I'm thinking about. Yeah, like I just hanging out in space with a couple of my friends walking down. All right, which planet we're going to land on? I mean, that's.
We should put all these ships in our game.
Jump in the turret.
No,
Just all of them.
Stick you guys in the medical
Are we
bay.
gonna hire some of these guys?
No, seriously. I mean,
Yeah, see, that's why they're being so hard on
them.
them. It's job security a little bit. They're like, oh, yeah,
Right, you're gonna take over my stuff.
Totally.
Can't have that.
But and
So-
I think just part of it is just sort of our personal feelings on what we think looks cool too. I mean, aside from like a lot of this stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's very believable that ship feels like it could like actually work. So
just real quick to go back to what Chris was saying with PBR. Yeah, too bad. So what will look really good is anything that's moving within PBR. So you might have these super simple shapes, hard edges, but the way PBR works with the Fresnel, you're going to get these really nice glancing light coming off them, as long as it's moving around. That's the thing. So having all this animation on the outside of the ship is going to make a massive difference. It's really going to pop out.
I mean, like
It's
even
gonna
in
look
a sort of dogfight, we've moved it to PBR, and like the Hornet, like just looking around, just flying it around, just looks.
It'll just catch the light.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, it looks far
glancing
more
angle.
realistic than it's ever looked before.
Awesome.
And I mean, I run it on a 4K monitor, and it's just I was showing you
Yeah.
Sean, the other day. It's just like
you have
wow,
a 4K monitor?
I have a 4K monitor.
As do I. I don't know what's going on with you guys.
Me and Sean have been buttered up by I think NVIDIA.
They have a 5K, by the way. Just saying.
Sean, it sounds like you're on the hook to get PBR out quick. for
Oh
all these
yes,
guys.
very much so. Actually, we've got the build ready for licensees right now, so yeah.
We're waiting.
So it's work in progress.
Looks like this competition's getting tougher. Next team is Try. Let's roll the video.
Hello, Star Citizen fans and CIG. This is eFanlanx here with Team Try, ready to give you another update on the AX-14 Silverback. So, we hope you guys are ready to see what we have in store. We've done a lot of work, and this is just the latest and greatest of what we got to offer, so check it out. We're going to just jump right in and show you what we got. Early on, we're going to show you some pieces. These are just pieces and parts, little kit that we have to go around the ship. There's a full upstairs interior shot, and that is the escape pod there that you can see. This is the interior of the turret and also the exterior body. There's some other older shots that we had here that we just wanted to revamp and show you a little bit more of, and there's a paint over we did for the Silverback. This is more interior with a little more exterior texture on there that we were playing with, and you can see we've done quite a bit on the interior as far as detailing more. And that's a nice little seat animation that 3D Vice did. Thanks for that. We have several areas in here, a little sink and whatnot. This is some more texturing work. And our Rebel Alliance paint scheme. And this is some actual in-engine footage. Thanks to Griffin for putting this together. We've actually gotten pretty far with some of the engine work as far as getting things in there. So we're really putting a lot of our focus on detailing all the little parts of the modeling, just getting that fine detail in place, and also working out some of the texture. The texturing is obviously something that you got to get right. You don't want to just throw it together. So we're spending a lot of time there and working out those fine details with the texture. These are some paint schemes that we did just to give you a couple of options. One more of the military Desert Storm type look, and the other one is probably what you might see with the civilian variant, people who want something a little more flashy. As you see, we put some old stripes and checkerboards on there like from World War II planes. So we hope you like what you see, guys. Give us your feedback on the forums, and hey, we'll see you in the verse. Peace.
Chris Roberts.
Yes, mate.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
No, again, I mean, it's I don't really looking forward to any voting part on this. It looked really great. I mean, the in-engine stuff was actually some of the more impressive stuff for me, because it's one thing to be sort of seeing the renders out of Max and some of the paint over stuff, and some of the other earlier shots are a bit, you know, they're like, I don't know about that. But then you saw it in engine, and you saw kind of how it felt and how it looked in the engine, and you know, moving around it sort of in a turntable and walking up close to it, and it had a really nice presence, because you know, on a design basis, this hasn't always been my favorite melee because of the big two sort of wings on the front, which has kind of got that gorilla silverback thing.
How was that? Do that again?
Like this. But I really liked it. I mean, and it looked nice. I mean, again, I could see that being easily a ship that could sit in one of our hangars. And actually, some of their texturing work was some of the nicer of the material texturing work I've seen of the ones we've seen so far. And they obviously don't have PBR yet, so it's going to look a hell of a lot nicer when that's in there. So I like it. I don't really have any sort of negatives other than...
You know you're going to have to eliminate somebody, right?
I know, that's the problem. I don't really want to eliminate anyone
today.
at the moment. I mean, it would have been nice perhaps to sort of have that same, you know, the view that Cryo did, or you also got with the Infinite Shoe Monkey one, where you sort of felt like you were inside and you got a sense of like
Cockpit
how
view.
going from one place to another place, getting into the cockpit or getting into the turret, that would be nice, just to sort of have a sense of the spaces, because that's the one thing I couldn't tell is like the interior space in there. You know, the side profile cutaway looked cool, looked like there was really nice detail, but you know, it's a whole different thing from seeing the cutaway to actually being in the space, which is sometimes nice to do, which is what was really impressive with the Cryo one. But yeah, generally I thought the materials, texturing work was great. I mean, it, you know, from a ship that, you know, as shape-wise wasn't necessarily my favorite, it really sort of started to live in the engine there for me, so I liked it.
I would recommend, like, I mean, the cutaway was like really cool, but you need to take it, and get the camera in there, move it around so you can feel the space. And I would recommend always putting a human reference in there as much as possible so you can get a sense of scale and size inside too.
Skelton?
I really like the ship a lot. I like the design.
That's mainly because I think you came up with the word silverback, right?
Yeah, they coined that phrase for me, so now it's my ship. I own it.
$5.
I like it because they really echoed Drake in it. I feel like it's a Drake ship. I think they nailed that. It feels kind of cutlassy. You know, it's got that kind of pirate flair to it. Those things actually, like it. He didn't show it there, but I've seen some animations where they fold back and like tuck away. It's pretty cool. Just the silhouette of it and the breakup of the ship is really cool. I just love the silhouette of it, and yeah, walking around like looking up at it, super impressive. You know, you can see like all the shapes and stuff work really nicely together.
I mean, it still feels strong, but it feels very fast.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, it's got some nice speed.
I would say the only thing that kind of bugs me, which is minor, you know, nitpicky, the connectors for the rear thrusters feel small. They feel like too frail, like they would break. I think if they thicken those up a little bit, it would make those back thrusters feel a little more.
We gave feedback
beefy.
like that earlier too. That same feedback.
Yeah.
Previously.
Did we?
On the
I remember that.
forum?
Yeah. But on the previous ship.
Yeah. So anyway, dude, it's great. I think it's a great.
What
ship.
did you think of the canopy, the gun canopies on the top and bottom? To me, they felt a little sort of tacked on.
I'd have to look at it again. I mean, I was kind of judging the whole ship. I can't remember exactly what it looked like. Did it go away and come back? Did it retract, or was it just stationary?
I don't remember seeing any retracting.
I think on this, I don't think it has it. I don't think it retracts in. I could be wrong. I think it.
Well, what did you think?
Didn't bother me. I didn't think, oh my god, that's the best turret design ever. So those two. Although I do like, you know, the fact. Well, no, but you know, they're using like the weapons that we have in the game, right? It's another good thing. They're actually using the various like, you know, are different bearing or
correct size.
Yeah, so it's good. So you can see how like it would switch out with the weapons that we have in the game. So I know.
Sean, how is the in-engine?
I just had a question about the front bits on the side. Is the idea that they move during flight as well, or is that they're sort of stationary down?
They go back.
Yeah.
So like in
but just during landing, or
fast
flying
flight
too?
in space. I guess they go all the way back.
Okay,
like
that's
this.
really cool. That's awesome.
And it actually looks the shape once they're all the way back actually looks really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's got this sort of animalistic look to it. You know, silverback, or even like a hammerhead sort of shark with the side bits coming out. The in-engine, I wouldn't light it at night. The reason why it looked completely flat in-engine, there was no specular on it at all. It would have looked a lot cooler if they would have just had a direct light on the thing. It's all ambiently lit. That's the thing. In PBR, you don't have ambient lighting anymore, so you will never see something like that anymore. It'll always have some sort of specular contribution, so some shininess, because it did look a little bit flat, but that's only because they just shot it at night. I mean, the ship itself looks awesome. I really like the shape of it. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everyone here. Pretty much, it's a cool ship. Interesting design overall. You know, the texturing work was pretty good. The little paneling they had, it looked like they were using a tiling texture, which looked pretty cool, and they already had variations they were working on. But yeah, I was impressed as well. I like the ship too. You know, like, I mean, just nitpicking stuff, you know, just part of, like, some of the stuff in the back maybe looked a little, like, fragile, like you were saying, some of the connections. And yeah, seeing the inside, and they had some good detail. For sure, but in the presentation, maybe it was like they didn't really convey like how it would feel on the inside, like Chris mentioned, perhaps. But overall, it was very good.
So quite a lot of love for this one. Bonus points for silverback and the kind of beefiness and meatiness. People seem to like the texturing and a little bit of minor nitpicking. But let's roll the last video, Skyguard Fabrications.
Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Elwin from Skyguard Fabrications, and I've got an update on the Guardian AX2. I made a lot of progress on the exterior modeling for the ship, so I've got basically something that's very close to final. I have a basic block out of the interior. I've got some basic colors laid down, nothing really fully textured. Unfortunately, I ran out of time before I was able to finish the modeling or the texturing on the ship. But I can show you what I've got so far, and I can walk you through a little bit of the process of what I would do if I were to be able to continue to finishing out the ship. So here we've got a 3/4 view of the ship with basic tones laid down on top of it. This is to help me determine what the balance of the ship would be with all of its textures and all the colors and things like that laid on top of it. You can see there's quite a bit of geometry on the surface detailing of the ship. All of this would be geometry that would be in the game. So this is all sort of, this is the low poly version of the ship that would be thrown directly into the game. We've got some turntables here just to show you a better view of what the ship looks like from all angles. In addition to here, you can see what the ship looks like with both the man turrets and the main front turret deployed, as well as the missiles deployed. Here you can also see pretty clearly what the geometry is like. I spent a lot of time making sure that it was very clean, very smooth. And the final poly count for the exterior of the ship comes
looks the same
close to 400,000 polygons. It's a lot of polys, but I think it shows in some of the geometry. You can see here at the base of the turret, there's a lot of geometry going on there. So I've also got, in addition to the previous animations, some landing gear animations. This is the rear landing gear, basically ready to go. I've got the missile deployment animation, and I've got the front turret deployment animation, which is one of my favorites. I actually really like how the panels sort of collapse onto themselves and then fold into the ship as the turret comes out. Then I've also got a very quick block out of what the interior would be like. You can see loading rails on the ground for when you're loading cargo. And here I've got the color IDs, which is the first steps in the texturing process so that I can separate out all my materials. So thanks for watching. I've had a great time participating in this competition, and hopefully I get to continue working on this ship. Thank you.
Well, Chris,
Oh, don't start with me. No, it was pretty cool. I mean, very, very nice modeling and clean modeling. It felt very different style-wise from what we've seen before.
Concept.
Yeah, just the overall concept. And some of the angles, it looked weird. It looked, some of the fins and pieces were too big and finny, I think. Overall, it made it feel like more toyish. And I think there was one angle where it just looked like the back end was cut off in a weird way. But I mean, overall, it's pretty nice. I mean, I think he's a little bit behind from the other people, obviously. So I'd like to see the next round with that.
Chris?
This guy is very clean, and his animations are really good. I did feel like it's lacking a little bit from what he had in the concept phase. And initially, I don't know, maybe he hasn't added a lot of the detail. It looks very simplistic, like you said. I think the main thing that bothers me about the shape right now is those, the things on the wingtips are
they fixed?
way too big.
Are they fixed? They don't move?
Fixed.
Yeah, they look kind of weird.
I wish, there would be more of the feeling that he had with the initial concept in this ship right now. That back animation with the gun was awesome. That was pretty damn cool, the way the plates come out. And he does some great previs animations. Texturing obviously wasn't done yet, so he's starting on that. Some of the feeling about the ship, I don't know, might be a little bit too toy-like at this point.
Sean?
So the ship kind of reads like a fighter to me. I mean, I'm not, like it's meant to be a gunship, I guess. So something a little bit heavier, but it looks like a quicker fighter, something a little bit smaller, a little more maneuverable. On the technical side, he's very, very good. He's got his material IDs already separated. So though he's behind, actually, I think he's going to end up ahead of the other teams. The only reason is because he's worked so cleanly up until this point. He's not going to have any problems getting in an engine. He's already got everything separated the way he needs to. The topology looks awesome. Everything's very, very clean. The animations is phenomenal. He's really, really good at getting this secondary motion on everything that's happening. So your eye gets to dance around all over the place, and it's never going to look the same, even though it's the same animation that's actually playing. You're going to end up looking at different pieces of it just because it looks so neat. And once there's materials on it, the fact that it looks as good as it does just flat shaded, once you put materials on it, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to look great. So I hope that he's able to actually just get a little bit further, a little bit faster, and I hope that the fact that he's worked so cleanly is actually going to help him in the end. But overall, from just looking at the ship, yeah, I just kind of feel like it's a little bit of a fighter. Maybe that's the toyish sort of nature that they're mentioning.
Yeah, it's a great I like the design of the ship. It's very clean, you know, it looks fast. His animations are amazing. I love the way like the things are folding up and coming out.
Maybe he's trying to distract
cool.
us with this awesome animation.
Well, it's cool, man. The guy obviously is really good at it. The deployment stuff, it had weight to it, and that's really cool. I mean, that it goes a long way.
He was kind of missing a little bit of the interior stuff and cockpit.
Yeah, there was no interior and cockpit.
No mention of that.
Yeah, he's behind. I see what you guys mean by like the. So on the top, it feels very slick. Yep. Yeah, but there's not a whole lot of like, I don't know, like third read shapes on it.
Which would make it feel less like a fighter, I think,
yeah.
with those smaller details.
Mm-hmm.
Third or fourth read, whatever.
It is super clean. I mean, the model itself is like really slick, and you can tell the guy has been methodically working cleanly.
Yeah. Nice topology.
The topology seems like it's. I mean, I didn't see the, the actual mesh, but it feels like everything is.
Yeah, the wire was in there.
I think
was
the
it?
wire.
Yeah, it was.
All right, I'm stupid.
Pay attention, Mark.
Sorry.
Wake up.
But no, I like the ship. It's really. I think if you just give him a little more time, man, I think he'll prove himself.
No more time. We're out of time.
Cut.
So I mean, I think the things you guys are complaining about was in the concept. I mean, that was my critique of the concept, was that it sort of felt like it didn't feel like a big gunship. It sort of felt more like fighter. And I think he's actually pretty true to his concept. And yes, the modeling was really clean. The animations are amazing. I mean, the animation he did on the Sakura-Sun gun was great.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool too.
So animation's really great. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of hard. Like, if I was going to have to pick some of them, this sort of feels like it's not as far along. So, like, what's the interior? How do you move around in it? That's an issue. And then I do agree that there is a certain, like, when you look at some of the views, like the rear view looking at the engines, it did kind of feel like what a model, like an expensive G.I. Joe model would look like. And I don't know whether that's just because of perhaps some of the proportions of the pieces, but I think also like Skyguard style, like he's got a very sort of graphic style, like he did in his concept.
Which is cool,
work,
right? Yeah.
Which is cool when you're going for sort of a more stylized graphic stuff, which but Star Citizen's kind of going for this more photorealistic kind of real look, so it's Gears of War is sort of a more stylized graphic novel kind of feel, and everything's just a bit more exaggerated, right? So like the engines or the guns are a bit more exaggerated, and so I think a little bit of that's in the model, but it was always in the. I think I may have made a note about that when we had the concept stage anyway. So I think that's kind of in there. But yeah, the modeling's great, animation's great. I mean, like I said, I'd be having fun with the show, but I'm not really having. I don't think I'm gonna have fun now, because it's like I personally would be like, yeah, all right, go back and do a bit more work and come back and let's look at it all. I mean, I like any one of these right now. If this was happening internally and I had internal artists on it, I would not be going, oh, this person, I don't want to, but they're not good enough to work with. Imperium, I'd be like, hey, we've got some awesome artists, and I'll give you feedback here, and I'll give you feedback here, and not a single one of the ones we've seen that I would be looking at going, we made a wrong choice on hiring this guy. I'd be like, we got some great artists, and really then it's sort of coming down to things like personal subjective preference. Yeah. And there's probably going to be more right answers than we're going to be allowed, because it's a competition, so one person has to win. But for me, I think there's already a bunch of winners here.
They've all won.
Isn't that nice of me? But I mean it. I really do. Wow. I really do. I really do mean it. I'm super impressed. Like when you start a competition like this, you like get worried as like, is it going to be any good? Are you going to have a
especially
really bad
some of the first entry videos.
And there were some that were that not everyone, we didn't show some of them that were like, okay, well, we wouldn't really show that, but yeah, this is it's like you got some
very impressive,
talented people.
Man.
So.
All right, guys, that's the 5 teams. So you know what time it is. Only 2 of these teams can go through of the 5. So you got some tough choices, right?
Wow.
We're going to do the voting a little different. We're going to be using a point system. Your favorite team is going to get 5 points, second team 4 points, third team 3 points, and so on. I need you to rank the 5 teams from your favorite to the least favorite. Are we ready?
Ready? Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
Pull out your phones.
Definitely won't be fun.
Let's get your votes. Okay, the results are in. So remember, we did this with a point system. The team with only 8 points, Cryo. With only 10 points, Skyguard. And with 16 points, but not enough to advance, Team Try. Okay, so that means Talon Corp with 20 points and Infinite Shui Monkey with 21 points. They both advance to the next round.
Nice.
Awesome. Well deserved.
We still have the save, and the vote for the save starts next week. So for Try, Cryo, and Skyguard, it's not over yet. All right, guys, so we're back next week with another 5 teams. 2 more teams will advance to the next round, and the 3 will go into the save. How do you feel?
This is too hard.
I hope next week is easier.
Yes.
I don't
think it's going to be either.
I don't think next week's going to be easier at all, because I think everyone's been great. So
at this point,
if I could save, I'd save 6, but I can't.
You can do anything you want.
That's true. Right. But no, it'll be tough. But you got to pick a winner. I mean, it's a competition, right?
Of course.
So it will be interesting, and
it's a good competition so far. So.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Friday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.